What's up, booktube? It's Lee Cooper, and it's been a while. If you follow me over on Twitter, you may have seen that I kind of started a new job. I'm not working for anyone. I'm working for myself, but I have been working as kind of like an independent contractor, making wedding cakes for my partner's mother's wedding venue. So she this year is finally opening her wedding venue. She's been a wedding planner, designer, and rental person for like several years, and during the pandemic, and actually before the pandemic, she started building her own venue that could be rented, kind of like a full service venue. And one of the things she offers her customers is that they can order their wedding cake through her, and I've been doing the wedding cake and the wedding cupcakes for that. So this first half of the year has been quite busy, kind of nailing down recipes and everything, nailing down prices. We had our first 2 weddings in March. They were kind of our trial runs, and I've just been really busy. So I have been reading, but I just haven't been filming. And I do have a January wrap up and a January book haul filmed that I filmed back in January. They just have, February, but they just haven't been edited, and I don't know when they'll come out. I intend to do a combined reading wrap up for February and March, but again, I don't know when that's going to come out. None of that matters, because today we're talking about the Magical Readathon, which I have seen floating around my Twitter, because I do follow the Magical Readathon. I've done it in the past. I'll leave a link to my last participation in it. It was probably back in 2019, to be honest. No, it might have been in 2020. I might have done it in 2020 because that would have been around the time, not too long after I lost my job. It sounds like something I might have done just to have something to do, but check it out in the cards if you're curious. It used to be the Harry Potter Readathon, but the creator has changed it. They've turned it into like a wholly original fantasy kind of D&D inspired readathon with magical school and guilds and professions and subjects, and it's like super creative. Like I gotta commend the creator, which I'll leave a link to her channel and her announcement video and all the explanations for all this if you're interested in checking it out. If you're interested in participating in the Readathon, which goes for the whole month of April, it's definitely not too late to join. But I gotta commend her for like taking a stance on the whole turf situation in the Harry Potter fandom, not clinging to that, and like actually turning this Readathon into something original, her own, and something like so much more creative than anything it was before. I mean, it was cool before, but like she's really turned it into something special in my opinion. So I told myself I wasn't going to participate in any readathons this year because I just don't really have time, but I saw all the really cool stuff for this readathon, like all the professions and the challenges, and I don't have any wedding plans for April, so this is a really good month to do a bunch of reading, and I have a ton of library books I need to get through, so we're going to go ahead and do it, and we're going to do it pretty aggressively. So this is going to be my TBR. I will pop up a picture here of my character card based on, a name I use in a lot of my video game playing. According to the little test, it put me into the Archivists Guild, and I decided to go ahead and pick the guild specific profession because it sounded interesting, which is the Godseer profession. So the classes I have to take and pass for Godseer, there's 7 of them. I have to do astronomy, inscription, psionics and divination, restoration, conjuration, demonology, and lore. So let's figure out, based off of all my shelves, the books I've got out from the library, and the books on my 17 to read this year TBR, let's try to create a TBR. Actually, the first one's really easy, and it's the one book I didn't grab. Let me go grab it. So the first class I have to pass is astronomy, and that is the top book off your TBR. Now for this readathon, since it is a month-long readathon, you are not supposed to pick books that you're like in the middle of. I'm tweaking that with this book because I started this book, but I'm not very far into it. and I haven't picked it up for about a week. So that's going to be Annex by Rich Larson. I kind of have a book club exchange thing going on with a friend of mine. Basically, one of us reads a book, and then we pass it to the other person, and then that person reads it, and then we can discuss it instead of reading them concurrently. So this was a book that they lent to me. It's a sci-fi book, alien post contact. It's got kind of a feel of a zombie apocalypse because aliens have turned all the adults into zombies. I would also put this probably in YA technically, since the protagonists are all teenagers, and one of the protagonists is a trans girl. So yeah, I've just barely started this book, read a couple chapters of it a couple weekends ago, but this book is on the top of my TBR. I am currently finishing up a book that I hope to finish reading today, and then I will start on this. The next class I need to pass is Inscription, which is an intimidating read. And there's like the obvious answer for that. The most intimidating book on my TBR is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, for obvious reasons. But there's no way in hell, because I have over 700 pages left of this book, there's no way in hell I would get this read for this readathon. So I don't want to put this on my TBR because I won't pass the class if I do. But truly, this is like the only intimidating book on my TBR. Like truly the only book I'm afraid of. So I mean, I guess I'll put it on. This is the best answer to that prompt, but I know I'm not gonna get through this book. You know, I guess what I can say, my challenge to myself will be, and this is gonna be fudging the rules, but this book has parts, and I'm on part 2. So I'm going to say for my TBR, because this is one of the 17 books I wanted to get read this year, and I haven't made any progress on it. So for my TBR, my challenge to myself will be to read part 2 of this book, which it's about 370 pages. It's about this much. That is going to be my TBR, okay? Stretching the rules, yes, but this is only the spring equinox, so these are supposed to be the like easier classes. Third class is Psionics and Divination, which is to pick a book set in the future. I've got a ton of those, but the most pressing one I need to get read next is going to be The Past is Red, even though it says the past. It's actually a book set in the future. This is Catherine Valente's second newest novella. She has published another novella since this one came out, but this is based off of a short story that was in her latest short story collection, and it is a post-climate disaster fantastical story. The other thing I have for this prompt is One Day All of This Will Be Yours by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is another sci-fi novella. It says, nobody remembers how the causality war started. Really, there's no one to remember and nothing for them to remember if there were. That's sort of the point. We were time warriors and we broke time. I was the one who ended it, ended the fighting, tidied up the damage as much as I could. Then I came here to the end of it all and gave myself a mission to never let it happen again. So actually this might be set in the past. This might be about a time traveler from the future, but it might be set in the past. So maybe this doesn't fit the prompt super well, but these are kind of the two novellas I want to get checked off my TBR for that prompt. Then the next class is Restoration, which is to pick a book featuring healers. Okay, so I don't really know. Like, there's a few books I have that might have healers in them, but I don't know if they do. And there's also a few books I could pick that would be like ironic choices. So 2 books, I don't know if they have healers in them, but they could. One of those is Magic Kingdom, and the other one is The Swords of Haven, just because these are kind of like, this is a rogues gallery fantasy, and then this is like a very it's a farce or a satire of like traditional questing type stories or kingdom epic fantasy stories. So like there are parties in both of these, which means they could have healers in them because that would be very typical of the genre, but I don't know. And then The ironic choice would be, I do have a copy from the library of From Here to Eternity by Caitlin Doughty, and this is Traveling the World to Find the Good Death. So this is a nonfiction book from Caitlin Doughty. She runs the channel Ask a Mortician, and this is her traveling the world, finding out different or exploring different death rituals from different cultures around the world. And so that's not necessarily about healers, but it's like, you know, people who take care of the dead. So this is the choice I'm leaning towards, just because it's like ironic, and I want to read this, and it would be something different. I don't read nonfiction super often, but I think this will be funny just based on watching Caitlin's channel. She's very funny and interesting. Then the next class is Conjuration, which is a book with a source of light on the cover. So for this one, I'm going to pick my current audiobook. Again, I've technically started this, but I'm not very far into it. And that is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. And I'm calling the spirit ghost curling around her hand a source of light on the cover. So this is a necromancy, nuns type fantasy, and it is YA. It is about a girl. She was possessed by a demon. She was exorcised by these holy nuns in this fantasy kingdom that's kind of been besieged by spirits since like the last plague happened. And there's this like order of nuns and order of monks or clergy who guard against revenants and violent spirits, and the girl has been trained to be a nun. She just wants to take care of the dead, but she has an affinity for sensing revenants and controlling them, and there's a holy relic from her order that is passed into her possession, and it's like their strongest defense against revenants. So yeah, I'm calling this a source of light for Conjuration. Then the next class is going to be Demonology, which the prompt is to a book with the word shadow in the title. I do not have, just like glancing at my kind of all the books out from the library and all the books on my TBR, I do not have a book with the word shadow in the title. However, I do have a copy of The City of Dusk, and dusk is a synonym for shadow. I think you could, they're closely related words, and this cover is very shadowy, so I'm going to count this as my demonology text because I need to read this and get it back to the library in about a week. And yeah, so I gotta read this book. So this is a new release from Tara Sim. I think it's a debut novel, and it's a fantasy book. It says the four realms, life, death, light, and darkness, all converge on the City of Dusk. But the gods have withdrawn their favor from the once thriving and vibrant metropolis, and without it, all the realms are dying. Unwilling to stand by and watch the destruction, the four heirs to divine power, Angelica, Nicholas, Risha, and Tasia, a shadow-wielding rogue with a reckless heart, will become reluctant allies in the quest to save their city. Sadly, none of these characters are described as a healer. We've got an elementalist, a necromancer, a soldier, and a shadow-wielding rogue. But I'm going to count this for shadow because I think this is close enough. And it sounds like thematically like it would fit into demonology. So would Vespertine, frankly, since it's literally a book about demonology. But anyway. And then my last class is Lore, which is supposed to be a book inspired by mythology. Now, my choice for this is stretching the rules. It's not technically mythology, but it is based on like a classical story. And that is The Devil You Know by KJ Parker. Also, I've got a lot of big books on this potential TBR, and I want a gimme. And I know that I can read this in like a day because I really like this universe by KJ Parker. So this is explicitly set in the world of Inside Man or Prosper's Demon, but it is. They're all kind of loosely connected. The back says, the greatest philosopher of all time is offering to sell his soul to the devil. All he wants is 20 more years to complete his life's work. After that, he really doesn't care. But the assistant demon assigned to the case has his suspicions because the philosopher is Saturninus, the greatest philosopher, yes, but also the greatest liar, trickster, and cheat the world has yet to know. The sort of man even the father of lies can't trust. He's almost certainly up to something, but what? So these are all, this universe, these stories are all like inspired by Renaissance figures in like art, culture, philosophy. They're all based in the classics, but with this whole side story of demon possession and demons trying to influence the world. Prosper's Demon, for instance, was based on Da Vinci. I'm gonna count this as close enough to mythology because I don't have any books. I don't read a whole lot of myth-inspired stuff, you know. I read Circe. I've read The Song of Achilles, but you know, there's more than Madeline Miller out there in this genre, but I just don't read it. I have one other book I really want to get read this month, which I'm going to have to look up the name for because I can't remember the title. I just got approved of an ARC for the sequel to Shards of Earth by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Eyes of the Void. So I just got approved for a copy of Eyes of the Void from NetGalley, and this is also a book set in the future, so it can also act for that prompt, but like I said, I kind of already have a bunch of things for that prompt. I really want to get that arc read though, because I really liked Shards of Earth. I thought it was just a very engaging, fun, interesting world building, kind of like it had that very classic SFF feel to it, and I want to read the sequel. So I also want to read that this month, and that's going to be a chonky boy if Shards of Earth was anything to go by, because that was like 600-page book, hardcover, I think. But for now, this is my TBR plus Vespertine on audiobook. Obviously not all of Jonathan Strange, but you know, if I can get through a whole part, book 2 of Jonathan Strange, that will be such a massive achievement. I mean, this is a lot of pages. This is going to be challenging for me, but that's what the Magical Readathon is also all about, you know? Let me know down below if you are participating in this readathon or if it sounds interesting to you, and I'll see you guys when I see ya. I don't know when that'll be. Bye!